Hello and welcome to Endless Space 2 Early Access Senate Political Parties and Laws preview. So, a new thing in Endless Space 2 is this whole political system with laws and the whole Senate and parties and everything. And it's quite a nice new additional thing to fiddle with your empire. So here is the Senate screen. And we are at the moment a federation, which gives us a certain industry bonus and also over-colonization penalty for here. And we can also change our government, so there's different government types. These are currently available for me, so there's democracy, requires happiness, and requires happiness. Oh, you see the costs for those. There's a bit of anarchic duration. Dictatorship is pretty huge. And you can also see what kind of things you get from this. So you see how the election process works between different governments, and you can see your economic effects. So there's a dictator gets a lot of dust, republic gets some influence and food, democracy gets research, and diplomacy costs with the minor factions, and then federation gets production and the colonization. And you can also see the election actions, which I will show you in a moment, but they are pretty much the same between them at the moment, except that there's roundup and propaganda in there, and then lobbying and primary elections and etc. So every few turns, well, actually not every few turns, but every now and then, you can see when the next election is coming up, and that election decides who are going to be the leading political parties in your empire. And the possible political parties in your empire are corresponding to these different factions that can be inside your empire. So you have industrialist, scientist, pacifist, ecologist, religious, and militarist. And depending on the race, you get a certain bonus on one of them. So the Vodiani that I'm playing on this playthrough are very religious people, so they get plus 10 religious output all the time. So you can see that my religion is very, very high. And our political traits also are anti-materialists, because we are very spiritual, so the science doesn't really matter to us. We are spiritual, so political events are, the religious political events are even more stronger for our population. And also we are fanatical, so militaristic events support the political opinion. And this is different between the races. Like Lumeris are pacifists by default, their political output is 10 pacifist, and they have different bonuses as well, how these get affected. And this depends basically how much votes your population will give to different parties, which will then give you your Senate breakdown. So for example, at the moment we are religious, of course, because we are super religious by default as the race. Then you have scientists, because I'm doing a lot of research, and I have science buildings, and I have science heroes, and I'm exploring the galaxy. You can see all down here in the bottom left corner what basically affects each of these. So religious is affected by science building, influence buildings, and the heroes, and then the influence system capture. Then you have pacifists, which is dust buildings. If you're making money, you're a pacifist apparently. And then the heroes, trading, friendly diplomacy, and empire encounters. Militarist is defense buildings, militarist heroes, system in danger, aggressive diplomacy, and territory loss pumps up that. And then scientists, of course, for doing science and exploration, is how you pump up your science and all other as well. You can see in your systems here, when you're building buildings, do we actually have any buildings? A new planet here, I think, yeah. So when you mouse over the planets here, you can see on the bottom left corner that political impact is affected by building this building. So depending what you build will actually affect the opinion of your population. Like colonial rights pumps up the ecologists, and you can affect if you wanna go to a certain political direction, you could technically just build a lot of buildings that support that, lots of defense buildings, for example, if you want to pump up the militarists in your senate. So what do actually these political parties do? I've detailed that you have this system of governments and getting a senate with leading political parties, what do you actually do with that? Is the laws. So depending on which leading political parties you have, like we have religious and scientists at the moment, and we can unlock it through research, and you can see how much they're supported. You can enact or vote certain laws. At the moment I have the righteous fury, which is the religious law. That's by default for the Vodiani. And then we have bountiful harvest from food, and then excess tide rule for some bit more dust. And they correspond to your leading parties. Like these are all religious laws, and we can abolish one of them, and we can add a new one. So because we have scientists and the religious in our basically government in the Senate, we can only do laws for them. And you can see the other ones as well, but there's no support for them at all. So we can see all of them. Our empire does have only these 4 parties: the pacifists, scientists, religious, and militarist. We don't have an ecologist party yet at all, because they need to be formed. You only start with one party, which corresponds to your race's bonus. So for example, Vodiani gets always religious party, only 100% on religious. Lumeris gets 100% on pacifist, Gravers 100% militarist, and Sophons 100% scientists. And throughout the gameplay, as you do research or whatever you do in the game, when a certain party gets a lot of support, like building the buildings and whatever, they can then form the party, and then they can start getting votes. And you cannot get them before that, so ecologists are not an option for me at the moment. So we can, for example, vote in a science law here. Let's say system improvement cost and -10 research in there. Maybe not. Need to breed. Well, let's vote in need to breed. And there's an influence cost on that, so we have a current influence here, and you need to have enough to enact that law. Also, you need a certain amount of support for that party for it to be possible to do. And there we go. Now we have a new law. We can unlock new slots for laws through research. And these are really powerful bonuses. For example, if you're playing Lumeris, and Lumeris is all about dust and getting the money basically, they have laws that give you more money basically. There's one that gives you 50%, another one which gives you 20% more, which is such a powerful thing to have both of those laws going on at the same time. And you want to keep those laws, and you need to keep that leading political party in power to keep the laws, because the laws are determined by the leading political parties. And if for example I would lose the religious for some reason, which probably doesn't happen, but if I were to lose this religious majority in the political system in the Senate, I would lose both of these laws, and I would have to enact something else instead of them. And that can really harm you if you lose those really powerful laws. And it's kind of annoying also. You always have that, say, the majority, which is gonna be your race's own political party, like the religious for these guys. You will always have that, pretty much, in the leading political parties. But the other two, or other one, in this case, can change a lot depending on what you do. If you need to do wars, it pumps up your military suddenly, and if you do a lot of research, it pumps up the scientists, and they're gonna switch around. And keeping their laws is kind of pain in the ass, because they kind of flip-flop back and forth all the time. But on the other hand, it gives you somewhere to dump this excess influence, because they're not that expensive to vote in, but still. You can also see kind of trends in here. Sometimes you just see a boost in there because of something you did, especially the scientists, because they get bonus from curiosities, exploration, science agreements, era unlocked, and science buildings. Sometimes when you unlock an era, scientists are like, "Hello, we're here." And during an election, you get options to affect the election actions. So you can have an official support for the elections, and then just basically happens what people vote. But you can also boost different political parties, or affect the other political parties so that you get that party in the lead that you want. Like you can finance the religious people or intimidate the other candidates and intimidate the citizens and imperial pressure on that thing you want. So the political system is quite nice. I think it's a lot more effective late game. Although the bonuses that you give are, or you get from those laws are really powerful throughout the game. But I think this gets more and more interesting as you expand your empire and get more population, get more options for political parties, get more laws. And it gets really crazy when you start incorporating other races into your empire. Because at the moment, this playthrough, one of my playthroughs, is just 30 Vodiani and nothing else. But if I had taken over other planets, assimilated minor factions, they would probably have totally different views of life than our race here. And for example, we could have included a pacifist race into our empire, and their population will vote for pacifists by default, and that will screw up the balance or make it fun, especially in a big, massive game, which you cannot do in this version I'm playing at the moment. I can see this becoming a really, really fun system to toy around with and doing some questionable election actions and all kinds of things. But yeah, that's pretty much the new Senate political parties and law system that's been added in the Endless Space 2. And it's really cool how basically everything you do, from building the research to exploration to wars, affects this political system and the balance of the Senate breakdown and the votes and everything, and then gives you these fun laws that you can mix and match to get the most out of your empire. And then you have also the government types that you can use to further boost things you want. Like early on you might want to have a lot of production from a federation, and also late game when you have lots of planets you want the overcolonization production from the reduction from that government type. But other times you might want to have like a dictatorship, especially if you want to go like a Lumeris dictator and all these other ones. So there's always things to switch around and play with to suit your needs during that time of the game, or that point of the game. But yeah, that's a quick look at these, a preview of the Senate political system of the Endless Space 2. And thank you for watching this video. If you liked this preview, check out other previews, reviews, let's plays and everything on the YouTube channel, and check out the live stream on nerd.tv or twitch.tv/Belanar, where I play this game and many other strategy builder management games and a bit of everything daily. So I'll see you guys there and have a good time.